Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live at 4. Hope you all had a great 4th. Mark is off today. Eric Franke's back from vacation. Thanks for your help.
I was only off 2 days.
No, you were. You had some
I walked
time
in here,
off.
I think people were like, "You still work here?"
You're really.
I've been off a little bit lately, but
so what did you do?
Have those summer months. You know, I didn't go anywhere again. I don't go anywhere. I just hang around here.
Didn't you go to Chicago with your son's baseball team?
Oh, my son had a baseball tournament down in Chicago over the weekend, but yeah, it's just been trying to get a little time off around the holiday. Hope folks out there as well had a good 4th of July, and Mark will be back tomorrow.
Yes, very good. It's good to have you here today. Thank you for your help. Here's what's making news on this Thursday. The scandal-plagued director of the Environmental Protection Agency has resigned.
We'll have more on that story. And a federal report on an investigation into a local nursing home shows allegations of abuse and a possible cover-up.
And the Secretary of State is back in North Korea, what Mike Pompeo hopes to do this time. Let's take a look outside. Was it hot enough for you yesterday?
Yeah, you know, I like the hot weather, but after
do.
a while you kind of want a little relief out there. And the mosquitoes, we know they're enjoying it. We'll hear more about them in a little bit. But today's weather words: relief.
Relief. That's a good news. Gary Canulty is out on the weather patio. Hi, Gary.
Hi. You know, it's still humid out here, but the relief is not far away. In fact, the cold front has already come through southern Wisconsin. Winds have shifted around to the northwest, and with time, skies will clear out. You can see how clear the skies are across Minnesota and most of Wisconsin. Now, we can't rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm still popping up over the next couple of hours, mainly south of Madison. But so far, most of the thunderstorm activity has been down in northern Illinois, so we may escape the rain altogether. You can see on Doppler track very little in the way of precipitation around here. Now, low temperatures this morning started out mild again thanks to the high humidity. Upper 60s to around 70 degrees. Milwaukee only fell to 75. La Crosse bottomed out at 72. And current temperatures are still pretty warm. Mid to upper 80s here in Madison. We're at 87 degrees. Milwaukee is at 88. But while those temperatures are pretty uniform around the area, the dew points are not. They're still in the lower 70s from Madison southward, but the Baraboo Dells have seen their dew point drop to 64. Black River Falls already down to 53. That is noticeable improvement in the humidity. And consequently, the heat index still in the lower 90s here in Madison, mid 90s in Milwaukee and in Boscobel to the north. Those heat index temperatures are pretty much about the same as the actual air temperature. So that is good news. Look for those temperatures to slowly fall into the lower 60s and upper 50s by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we'll see plenty of sunshine. It'll be warm with high temperatures in the low 80s, but the humidity levels down. It will feel very nice. As we take a look at first alert traffic, the nice thing about having a holiday in the middle of the week is it kind of spreads out the traffic. That's the live view from the DOT camera on the Beltline at Rimrock Road, and you can see light traffic in both directions. In fact, just looking at any delays, there are just some minor delays eastbound between about, say, Fish Hatchery Road approaching Park Street. Other than that, no major problems around the Madison area. Interstates right now in very good shape to the south and east of Madison. A few slowdowns on US 51 just south of Janesville, and then up to the north. The only slowdown I could really find is on Highway 12 right around the Lake Delton, Wisconsin Dells area. Otherwise, the interstates are in good shape as well. That is your first alert traffic.
It's good. Thanks so much, Gary.
You're welcome.
First and fourth, the Trump administration's embattled director of the Environmental Protection Agency has now resigned.
President Trump has accepted Scott Pruitt's resignation letter. Pruitt had become a constant source of embarrassment to a president who had entered Washington promising to drain the swamp. Pruitt's troubles began last year with stories about his extensive use of first-class travel, which he said was necessary to defend him from threats from the public. He used the same rationale to explain his unusually large security detail that cost taxpayers nearly $3.5 million last year alone. And he's been accused of using his security team to run errands. He had denied wrongdoing in the face of multiple congressional and oversight investigations. Allegations of abuse and a cover-up are part of a 110-page federal report into Maplewood Nursing Home in Sauk Prairie.
Our Keely Arthur read that report and shares what prompted this investigation. Keely?
Yeah, the state and federal investigation began into Maplewood after a man living in the home was arrested for sexually assaulting multiple female residents. In May, police arrived at Maplewood when a resident told staff 69-year-old Galen Malish groped her. Malish is a registered sex offender. A Department of Health Services and Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services investigation found the home to have violated 9 federal rules. It shows that staff knew Malish was was on the sex offender registry and that officials at Maplewood tried to prevent an investigation into his behavior. We reached out to Maplewood today. Here's what they said, quote, "We have reviewed and responded to the preliminary findings and will continue to work closely with the Department of Health Services to advance our shared goal of protecting the health and well-being of our residents." Maplewood has submitted a plan of correction to officials at CMS. CMS will now do a surprise inspection to see if the nursing home is back up to federal standards.
The story will continue to follow. Keely Arthur reporting. Keely, thank you. The Kappa Sigma fraternity at the UW-Madison has been suspended after shocking videos surfaced over the weekend. 2 Instagram videos show a heavy tube TV being dropped from the fraternity house roof. This was at 124 Langdon, narrowly missing a woman passing below. This suspension from the university prevents the group from holding any events. An investigation also continues, and if the fraternity is found in violation of the student organization code, more sanctions are possible. Madison police are releasing data showing that June 2018 was projected to be the worst month ever for heroin deaths in Madison history.
Police are trying to get people struggling with drug abuse into recovery instead of putting them behind bars, using the Madison Addiction Recovery Initiative, or MARI program. Rose Schmidt is in the news center to break down the latest numbers for us. Rose?
Eric and Susan, last month there were 35 known heroin overdoses and at least 11 people ended up dying from them. Officers tell us they're seeing an increase in heroin laced with fentanyl, and that could partially be to blame for the rise. On average, police and fire are administering Narcan once a day just in Madison alone. Police say a number of those overdoses happened inside businesses. Others overdosed in parking lots or streets.
This addiction is so powerful that they need to use immediately. So to drive back home and use there in the privacy of their home, that's not always the desire. It's just the nearest private location, and many times that is a public restroom.
Officer Bernie Albright heads the MARI program, which takes in people with a charge related to an addiction. They can choose to get treatment and make that charge go away. The MARI program has been around since last September. 11 people have completed the program, and police are hoping for more. On News 3 at 6, we hear from a local counseling center that refers MARI participants and helps them get into recovery.
I look forward to hearing more. Rose Schmidt in the news center tonight. Rose, thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is on his way to North Korea for a follow-up visit on denuclearization. This is Pompeo's 3rd visit and the first since last month's meeting in Singapore between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Wei Zhejiang has more from the White House.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo departed Joint Base Andrews early Thursday morning, headed to North Korea to continue negotiations on denuclearization. It's his first visit to Pyongyang since last month's historic summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert is traveling with Pompeo.
We go into this eyes wide open, but nevertheless, we've made a lot of progress in the past year.
Last year on July 4th, North Korea launched an intercontinental ballistic missile that Kim boasted could reach the U.S. Tensions were at a fever pitch between the two nations.
But President Trump now insists that has changed. Right after the summit, he tweeted, "North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat."
The first step is honesty from North Korea.
National security expert John Hanna says Pompeo must demand concrete evidence that North Korea is keeping up with the deal.
North Korea should be aware that if they continue to deceive and cheat and lie and not begin to come clean on their nuclear program, that there will continue to be a price that they have to pay for that.
Hanna warns U.S. credibility is at stake if Pompeo fails to come back from this trip with real signs of progress. Wei Zhejiang for WISC News 3.
And when asked en route to North Korea whether the U.S. is softening its policy on North Korea, the State Department said the Trump administration's policy has not changed.
19 people were killed, at least 31 injured when 2 explosions ripped through a fireworks factory near Mexico City. The dead include 4 firefighters and 2 police officers who rushed to the scene after the first explosion, only to be killed by a second blast. A video from a nearby highway showed a massive plume of smoke rising from the explosions. 4 small buildings were destroyed. Many residents in the town make a living by fabricating and selling homemade fireworks.
Rescuers at the flooded cave in Thailand are racing against time and the weather to save 12 boys and their soccer coach. Crews are racing to pump out the excess water from the flooded cave before more heavy rain, which is in the forecast for this weekend. They're drilling through rocks to make room for hoses, which have already helped remove more than 31 million gallons of water. Doctors are feeding and treating the boys.
Children who are aware of the cave, they know the caves, they've been in the cave very often, so we just have to assess everything at the moment. We have to see what the conditions bring.
Several sections of the cave remain flooded, including an area that requires full diving equipment. Rescue workers hope they can drain enough water to eliminate long stretches where the boys would have to keep their heads underwater.
A woman who climbed the base of the Statue of Liberty on the 4th of July appeared in federal court today. 44-year-old Teresa Kumu, an immigrant from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, left the federal courthouse in New York City to cheers. She told police she climbed the base of the landmark to protest the separation of immigrant families who crossed the border illegally. She pleaded not guilty to 3 misdemeanors, including trespassing and disorderly conduct.
Veteran radio and television commentator Ed Schultz has died at his home in Washington, D.C. Schultz started his career in Fargo before working as a commentator at MSNBC. Schultz used his show, The Ed Show, to drum up opposition to Governor Walker's Act 10 initiative in 2011, and then support for the recall effort of Governor Walker in 2012. Often broadcasting live from Madison, Schultz left MSNBC 3 years ago and had recently been working for RT America, a Russia-funded media outlet. Ed Schultz is said to have died of natural causes. He was 64 years old.
And there's more ahead at 4 when we come back. The iconic carousel at Ella's Deli has a new owner.
And can anything be done about this summer's mosquito invasion? Isn't it unbelievable? It's hard to even be outside. A UW entomologist will join us with some advice. That's when Live at 4 continues. Welcome back. The iconic carousel at the now closed Ella's Deli in Madison has a new owner.
Yeah, the Verona-based medical software giant Epic is buying it, along with other decor from the historic ice cream parlor and restaurant on Madison's east side. Owner Ken Balkin and his wife Judy closed it back in January so they could retire. So Epic will now move that carousel. They'll do so later this month sometime. They haven't quite decided where it will display the items from Ella's, but they hope to keep them accessible to visitors.
Let's check stocks today. At the closing bell, a strong day for the markets. The Dow climbed almost 183 points. The Nasdaq added 84, and the S&P 500 gained 24.
Well, it's already Friday Eve, the weekend almost here in the 608.
Emmy Fink is here with what's going on around town this weekend. Hi, Emmy. Good to see you.
It's good to see you guys.
Did you have a good 4th?
Oh, great 4th.
Oh,
gorgeous
good.
weather.
Pool time, right?
A lot of pool time.
Sunshine.
Yeah. You guys?
Good stuff. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
And so now, what's going on this weekend?
Well, you know, it doesn't really seem like the weekend.
It's a weird week, isn't it?
Seems like a
Broken up.
Monday afternoon, but it's not. So we have some great things. First of all the hard work leads up to this, because after 8 gruesome weeks, it's the summer band final concert. So woodwind, brass, percussion students of the UW's summer band program will showcase what they've learned during the last 8 weeks. Scott Teeple, the director of UW's Wind Ensemble, will conduct the group of continuing ed musicians in this show. It's going to be held at the UW Humanities Building tonight at 7 o'clock, if that sounds interesting to you.
Boy, that is some talented musicians.
8 weeks. Can you imagine what they learn in 8 weeks?
Incredible.
That's a lot to process.
The Women's Music Festival is this weekend, right?
So this is so cool. Out of any place in the country, they choose to have it in Madison, which is so neat. And this year's theme is We Persist. And it's a phrase that women have been using around the world, and it's taken over during the last year. It's today through Sunday over at Madison Marriott West, and all genders and cultural backgrounds are welcome to attend, not just the ladies. Beyond the music, there'll be workshops, a marketplace theater and film presentations, spirituality and writing series, and much more. So that sounds like a great way to honor them and see what's going on in the world of women music.
And this weekend is a great reason to take a drive too, right?
Any good weekend is a good reason to take a drive, but we give a lot of love to a lot of Madison events, and for the next 4 events, we're going to take you to the suburbs, because you're going to plant yourself in a lawn chair in front of the Rotary Park Gazebo in Stoughton for this one. It's the Catfish River Music Festival put on by the Stoughton Opera House. Back-to-back live music performances featuring a diverse lineup, a lot of folk, bluegrass, perfect for pouring a glass of wine, some background summer music. It's Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon, and it begins at 4 o'clock each day.
Oh, that's great.
The weather's good.
Yeah.
That's a great option.
There's a new one this year in Fitchburg, too.
Yeah,
the Fitchburg Festival of Speed.
Yeah, you got it, Susan. So do you guys have the need for speed?
Well, she drives way too fast.
All right. I'm with you then, too. I drive a little fast. I like the Need for Speed, and this is the inaugural Festival of Speed, and it celebrates being active with several different races, including a 5K run walk, and then a leisurely, my kind of bike ride, 25-mile bike ride for participants who want to take in the views of Fitchburg and Paoli. That's beautiful country out there. The day doesn't end at the finish line. Enjoy some live music, a kids zone. The kids can bounce till the sun goes down in the bounce house. There'll be a balloon artist, and that goes on Saturday bright and early, starts at 7 a.m. at the Agora Complex in Fitchburg.
And there's a couple other can't-miss events on the calendar too, right?
Well, we mentioned Paoli, and is there a more cute, quaint town than Paoli? It's just the best. So we're going to start there. It's just south of Verona, if you're not familiar, and it has the vintage flea at the Mill Park. It's Saturday from 10 until 5, Sunday from 11 until 3, and they'll have art, beer, live music, of course, good food. Saturday is the farmer's market, and then that board and brush sign where you can make the homemade signs. They're doing a vintage board shop workshop, which is pretty cool. And then if you haven't had your fill of fireworks, did you guys see some, I hope?
Yeah.
I heard a bunch. Everybody heard them, right?
Exactly. Well, you have one more chance to head out to the Fire on the River Festival out in Sauk City. So it's their 4th annual celebration, and there'll be kids games, beer, food, live music, you name it. Can't have a festival without a good beer tent, right? It takes place along the Wisconsin River, downtown Sauk City. So this is truly your last chance to see fireworks. If not, you got to wait till next year.
Yeah. This is kind of the heart of festival season, right? Everybody's got something going on.
I love it. Every small town. That's why we wanted to encourage people to get out and just, take a drive.
Yeah, have some fun out there.
And if you want to read more about it, make sure you check out this month's edition of Madison Magazine for all the best in the Madison area. Thanks, Emmy.
Thanks, Emmy. Good to see you. We'll find out next what the weekend has in store for us. Gary's forecast coming up
Jinx.
on Live at 4. Stay with us. Well, take a look at this. A technical problem leads to a wild emergency landing. Marius Florian trying to find a soft spot to land in Romania after a mechanical issue during flight. However, landing on top of a flock of sheep is not exactly what he had in mind. This might be a soft landing, though. You can see Florian's legs get all tangled up. The animals run in fear, of course, beneath him. Eventually, getting the sheep out of the way, he crashes face first into a field. Now, Florian says he's fine and just needs to replace part of the canopy on his device there. Look out.
What a great, what a great view.
I don't think it'd be back up. Sheep or no sheep.
Today is July 5th, and what could be more appropriate for a summer day? It is National Bikini Day. The two-piece bathing suit was unveiled by French designer Louis Réard on this day. It was back in 1946, named it after the Bikini Atoll, where the United States conducted atomic testing, saying he wanted to name revealing bits of fabric Atom.
So where'd the Speedo term come from?
Yeah.
And where better than to take a look in the Pacific as we celebrate National Hawaii Day. Hawaii, of course, the 50th state to receive statehood back in 1959. In addition to breathtaking natural beauty, it has an important strategic significance even before it was granted statehood. Of course, it was critical to the United States naval operations for decades in Pearl Harbor.
You've been to Hawaii a few times, right?
A couple of times, yeah.
You've been to Hawaii?
Everybody's got to go to.
I went there one time, and it was to cover a Badger football game.
Oh, you're kidding.
Too much sight.
Really?
It's the only time. It was all work. It was all work.
So the weather's going to get a little more bearable the next couple
I think
days,
so.
huh?
Within the next few hours, I think we'll start to notice the differences, which is good news. And that'll last for the weekend. I'll have the First Alert forecast in just a few minutes. Well, we're in the home stretch, getting rid of the heat and humidity. I think within the next few hours, we're going to start to notice the humidity go away. It should be gone for at least a few days before it starts to return for next week. As we take a look at visible cloud track, you can see where the drier air certainly is because that's cleared out the clouds. We've had partly to mostly cloudy skies much of the day, but you can see most of the thunderstorm activity that has been developing south of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. There's still enough moisture south of Madison that we can't rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm popping up over the next couple of hours, but right now that's going to be pretty iffy. In fact, you can take a look. You can see some showers and thunderstorms popping up across northern Illinois. It looks like a couple of sprinkles just south of Monroe. That's pretty much about it. So again, if nothing happens in the next couple of hours, I think that'll be it for the rain chances for a while. But we look out into the future and it looks like the heat will be right back. In fact, the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center calling for above normal temperatures for just about the entire country, with the exception of the far southwestern part of the country where some monsoon showers and thunderstorms will occur and cool them down a little bit, but about a 60% chance of above normal temperatures here, and below normal precipitation is expected from Wisconsin westward, the highest probabilities over the Pacific Northwest. Again, above normal precipitation expected centered over Arizona. Time lapse from the WISC Skycam looking out toward the southeast shows clouds for much of the morning with some breaks in them, but as we go through the afternoon, you can see the clouds starting to thin out a little bit, and the live view from the WISC Skycam showing mostly, or well, we'll say partly sunny skies. You don't see too much vertical development that would indicate showers or thunderstorms trying to pop up. Live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville looking off toward the east, pretty much the same story. Edgewater Skycam looking back toward the northwest shows partly sunny skies, and while it's still warm, the humidity will eventually drop. We've been up to 87 so far after starting out at 69, so another day with above normal temperatures. But while we're at 87 now, winds are out of the northwest at 7 miles per hour. Heat index is at 93 as dew point temperatures are still in the lower 70s here, but that changes out to the west. And if you have some good weather pictures to send in, we just started taking submissions for the 2019 Wisconsin weather calendar. You can send your pictures, send them horizontally shot with high resolution as possible to weathercalendar@wisctv.com. We're looking for submissions for next year's weather calendar. Current temperatures, you can see from Madison southward, mid to upper 80s, Moline right now at 92, but to the north and west, temperatures still in the lower to middle 80s, but the humidity levels are dropping here. Superior right now down to 79 degrees. And again, those skies have been clearing out over much of the northern part of the United States. Jet stream is still in a southwesterly configuration, so temperatures will remain warm. It's just the humidity levels will be dropping. Then you look out in the Pacific Ocean, the jet stream buckles here, so that just continues that southwesterly wind flow aloft, keeping temperatures warm through much of the country. But the main part of the cold front has now dropped to the south, and winds have shifted around to the northwest. South of this front, that's where the high heat and humidity is, with temperatures mainly in the 90s south of the front, 80s north of the front, with some 70s up near the U.S.-Canadian border. But look at the difference in dew points. 70s from Madison southward, and then you get into northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, those dew point temperatures already in the lower to middle 50s, so the air much drier up there. And heat index readings because of that, while we're at 93, temperatures are similar in Minneapolis and Wausau, but the heat index is about 10 degrees cooler. As we look at future track, the threat for showers and thunderstorms will stay to our south. And then after that, we're just looking for nice weather with plenty of sunshine over the next couple of days. That high pressure system just moving very slowly right over Wisconsin. You can see the clockwise wind circulation. Eventually, as we get into the latter part of the weekend, the winds become a little more southerly, but because to our south, the winds are still out of the northeast, that cuts off the moisture, and it'll be a while before the moisture can start to return, probably not reaching us until Monday. So expect those southerly winds to continue with a gradual warm up in temperatures after the weekend into next week, and then eventually the humidity will return. As far as temperatures are concerned, look for those readings to drop off into the upper 50s and lower 60s by tomorrow morning. High temperatures tomorrow, lower 80s with some upper 70s to our north. Low temperatures tomorrow night, even a little cooler, dropping into the middle 50s, and then look for high temperatures, again, back in the upper 70s to low 80s. The heat's building out to the west of us, and that should be here sometime by the early part of next week. So our forecast for tonight calls for skies to become mostly clear. It'll be cooler and less humid with a low temperature of 59. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, warm, but less humid with a pleasant high temperature of 81. As we look at future track, again, any threat for showers and thunderstorms will be gone over the next hour or so. Clear skies overnight, temperatures dropping into the upper 50s. High temperatures tomorrow climbing up into the lower 80s with lots of sunshine for tomorrow night. Clear skies, light winds, temperatures dropping into the middle 50s. It'll feel almost chilly, but then those high temperatures jump right back up into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees on Saturday. And as we check out the 7 to 10 day forecast, you'll notice those temperatures do come back up. If you're waiting for the heat and humidity, look for those readings to climb into the upper 80s to around 90 degrees, and the humidity will keep low temperatures back to around 70. Eric and Susan?
Yeah, so Looks like we get maybe just a little bit of a break for the weekend, but then the heat is going to be there again next week.
The timing, though, is good. It's good to be nice for the weekend.
Yeah, the weekend looks perfect.
Yeah. It's been a hot stretch,
Oh,
so
yeah.
some folks are ready for a bit of a break. Gary, thank you.
Gary, thanks.
Next, when you say you're heading to the bar to keep the environment cleaner.
It's not because you've had too much to drink.
What do NASA, houseplants, and vodka have in common? I'm Gwen Baumgartner in London. We'll tell you how one cocktail bar is addressing air quality.
Boy, that is a gorgeous shot there along the Lake Mendota waterfront in front of the Union Terrace. Lots of heat out there,
Yeah,
but
look at the water just sparkling today.
very inviting, isn't it? A trendy bar in London is serving up a unique chaser for their cocktails.
It's part of an experiment to fight air pollution. Gwen Baumgartner has the story.
In the heart of busy London is a literal breath of fresh air. This bar in its sea of green is giving customers a break from the toxins outdoors.
The only real product that can viably remove those compounds, those nasty things in the air, are these lovely things, plants.
Plant expert Freddie Blackett says these plants can absorb up to 85% of harmful gases. He based his selections on NASA research. The concept of clean air bar is simple. Give people a chance to unwind around lush vegetation and cleaner air.
There's so much pollution in London, so the opportunity to get some fresh air while you have a drink just makes it that much more enjoyable.
This pop-up bar isn't just about improved air quality. A garnish wall adds a little bit of fun for drinkers to customize their cocktails.
So we have some fresh mint, And we got some basil here and some rosemary.
It's a small way to spice up a summer drink and perhaps provide inspiration too.
I hope that when people come to a space like this, they enjoy things like the garnish wall and they enjoy being among these plants and seeing all the different textures or the different colors, that they think this is something that I can recreate at home.
Environmentalists hope the concept will grow to other big cities around the world. Gwen Baumgardner, CBS News, London.
Experts say tropical plants are especially helpful at removing toxins from the air.
A little aromatherapy in there
that's something
too, I
different, isn't
bet. Next on Live at 4, a local actor is making it big on the big screen in a Sylvester Stallone film.
He's one of the bad guys. From Beloit to Hollywood, Eric Newnham's story when Live at 4 continues.
Well, some good news on first alert traffic. Having the holiday in the middle of the week kind of spreads out the traffic. People leave early. People stay late after the 4th of July holiday. So this is the view of the Beltline at Park Street. And you can see traffic is moving pretty steadily in both directions. That's a picture we don't often get to show at this time of day, but that is the case. And as we take a look at the area delays, looks like a little slowdown trying to develop on the eastbound Beltline just before Monona Drive. A few delays southbound on US 151 Verona Road into the construction area, and also seeing a few delays in and around East Washington Avenue between, Stoughton Road and East Town Shopping Mall. Also a few delays on Stoughton Road between Highway 30 and East Washington Avenue. As far as travel times are concerned, though, in the eastbound direction on the Beltline, about a 17-minute commute from University Avenue to the interstate. It's 15 minutes going back in the westbound direction. If you're heading out of Madison, about 42 minutes from the Beltline down to Janesville. Some delays starting to develop on I-3990 heading southbound, traffic heading back toward Illinois. But it's only 17 minutes out to Sauk City on US 12 and 17 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That is your first alert traffic.
One of my men is missing. I think he's in a prison called Hades.
What is this place? Land of the dead. Everyone in this think he's there.
That is the trailer for Sylvester Stallone's new movie, Escape Plan 2, Hades. It just premiered in theaters. One of the villains in that movie, there he is. He's a Beloit native, Eric Newnham, who joins us now on Live at 4. Eric, great to have you.
Eric, good
Thanks
to
for
see you
having
again.
me. Likewise.
Yeah, the last time you were here, we were talking about a Super Bowl commercial that you were in. That was almost 2 years ago now.
Hard to believe, yeah, apartments.com. That was really very exciting.
Well, let's talk about this movie. This went straight to DVD, right?
Yes.
And Sylvester Stallone, you got to work in a movie with Sly. What was that like?
Well, what a dream to have Sylvester Stallone want to come and kick your rear in a movie.
Because you're one of the bad guys.
I'm one of the bad guys.
What's
Yeah.
it like to be the villain in a movie like this?
Well, I usually end up playing like a dad or a businessman and so when I got the role, I had about 2 weeks to kind of prepare for it, and it was fascinating studying villains. So I went back through, Googled it, and it was so interesting. Something common with a lot of villains is they think they're the hero. So I tried to incorporate that into it. It made sense to me, just the rest of the world didn't understand my mastermind.
So how did you get into acting? Because you were on the city council, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you had a restaurant in Beloit.
Yeah.
And how did you get into acting? Where did that turn for you?
I started acting as a kid, and then I was a theater major in college, and did it for a little while on stage in Chicago, some touring companies. And then I left that and got a corporate job, and made some money, and went back to Beloit, hometown kid, does good, and opened a couple businesses, had 2 restaurants, a couple of gift shops, Swiss Colony franchise from Monroe, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, as the economy was changing in 2008, things got really tough for everybody. And I hung in there for a few years, but then I saw it as an opportunity to do a reset button in life. And, getting a little older now, that could be scary, but I embraced it, and it's the best thing I ever did. All I wanted to do was act, so I said, you know what? I'm going to do that.
So did you move to California, or did you?
I packed up everything and drove to LA.
Brave.
Yeah.
That's like what everybody dreams of doing,
Yeah,
though.
it's
Like
true.
they wish they could go be a
Exactly,
star. You actually did it.
Well, I did it. I don't recommend it. It was very hard, but very exciting and very rewarding. And if you're passionate about whatever it is in life, that's what you really need to do, because you'll find a way to make it work.
What is the audition process like for a motion picture like this?
It has changed so much. Like in LA, you normally would have a very small group of actors that would come in for any particular role, because there's only so much time that casting directors can spend. And so now the industry standard is becoming self-taping. And so actors also have to become their own director, lighting, sound, hair, makeup, and that way it's more opportunities for actors, but it also makes it easier for casting directors to see more actors for each role and really get it down to who they really want.
So you're making like a resume tape?
Yes. I self-tape several times a week. It's a very busy process.
So what do you want to do long term? I mean, what's next for you? What's the next project that you're thinking about getting involved in out there in Hollywood?
Well, I've auditioned for several things, hoping to hear back, a couple of callbacks. So right now I'm enjoying promoting this film. I'm very excited about Escape Plan 2. It's fantastic. The director, Stephen C. Miller, is a genius. And really fun to be with these great actors.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as we mentioned, we had a Super Bowl commercial that you were in a couple years ago. It's at apartments.com.
Yes.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, he's so
another
amazing.
big name.
Yeah, he is so fun to be with on set.
And how much work goes? I mean, obviously, Super Bowl commercials have huge budgets because they cost so much.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, it was a 1-minute spot, but you would have thought that you were on $100 million feature film production. Great cinematographer, and I mean, they spent. I don't remember exactly how much, but it was a huge amount. And you're talking 40, 50 plus crew members, which were all amazing. It was great.
Wow. Do you get home to Beloit very often?
I do. I come back several times a year and enjoy also coming to Madison and going to the Union, down to the Terrace, going back down there probably again this week, and really love that. I'm so proud of what's happening in Beloit. It's an amazing success story. Beloit has really done so much in the last even 10 years. If you haven't been to Beloit recently,
and they have a
go
film.
see it.
They have a film festival too. Did that ever spur your interest a little bit?
I have a film that's going to be there this next year called Windward Spirits.
Cool.
It just premiered at Grauman's Chinese Theater in LA a couple months ago. I was just out there promoting that, and so that'll be at this year's. And I think I'm going to have a project that I'll be directing that might be in next year's film festival.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be a lot of fun. Now, if people want to see your movie, you said it went right to DVD. It's going to be big internationally too, right?
Yeah.
Because Stallone is still huge everywhere, right?
Oh, massive, especially China and different parts of Europe than elsewhere.
Where can people get a hold of this? Is it on Amazon they get a hold of it, or how do they get it?
It's all over the place on all the different platforms, and so but you can also go Google Escape Plan to Hades and go to their official site, and you can download it there if you want to. You can buy it in stores as well. So there's lots of different options. If you like Stallone, you're going to love it. And Dave Bautista from Guardians of the Galaxy, 50 Cent, Jamie King's the female lead. It's fantastic.
And a villain of Stallone from Beloit. I want to see how that plays out.
I do too.
That should be very fun
Great to see you. Continued success.
Thank you both very much.
From Beloit, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back. All right, Gary's back. A final check of the forecast.
You know, it's pretty humid out there. I'm waiting to see whether or not a shower or thunderstorm could yet pop up. There have been a couple of sprinkles that have developed down around Monroe, but even those have drifted south of the Illinois state line. Most of the thunderstorms that have been developing across northern Illinois are heading into the Chicago area. So I think unless we see something develop over the next hour or two, I think that's pretty much it, at least as far as the rain chances are concerned. Now, temperatures are still pretty warm. We're at 87 in Madison, 88 in Janesville, and even to the north, temperatures drop off by a few degrees. Still 85 in La Crosse, 82 in Camp Douglas, and 87 in Wautoma. But take a look at the dew point temperatures. Still lower 70s in Madison. You get up to the Baraboo Dells, the dew point temperature down to 61. It's 53 in Black River Falls. That is noticeably drier. Wautoma right now, they're as warm as Madison, but their dew point temperature is at 49. So look at the difference in heat index. Madison feels like 93. Waitomo feels like 94 or 84. So that's the less humid weather that's heading in our direction. So even though temperatures will be warm, I think it'll still be pretty comfortable. Otherwise, look for temperatures to only drop into the upper 50s and lower 60s by tomorrow morning, but with less humidity, it'll feel much more comfortable. Tomorrow's high temperature still around 81, plenty of sunshine. The air should be dry, and if you're waiting for the heat and humidity, well, unfortunately, it'll be back next week. So after the dry weekend, look for temperatures to be back into the upper 80s for much of next week. The humidity levels come up, so those low temperatures get up into the upper 60s and low 70s, but the rain chances stay pretty small.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm Thursday. Friday and Saturday would seem to be the best chances, and even that's kind of iffy. So
these storms try to form. We had one last night. It looked like it was going to storm. All of a sudden, the cloud just vanished.
Oh, you should have seen the radar last night watching, as the storms came in just before the 4th of July fireworks. I mean, at 7 o'clock, you would have thought nobody would be able to have fireworks, and by 9 o'clock, the rain was almost completely gone. So, I said it last night. If weather moved like a car moving down the highway, we'd never miss a forecast, but it changed that dramatically in 2 hours.
Vanished. Unreal. Gary,
All right, thank you, Gary. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. Michael Bruno will be here. We'll find out who is really behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz production at the Palace Theater in the Dells.
And we will check out this week's Animal Stories. Lola will have the lowdown, and Mark will be back. Stay with us.
In our final touch tonight, we've had to deal with the dangers of blue-green algae. It's been a big story in our lakes this summer.
It really has. It's too bad it doesn't look like the scene we found in today's final touch. A photographer in Wales captured a beautiful case of bioluminescence. This was off the coastline. The waves off the coast in Angsley Island can be seen turning electric